magical people. Hope you are doing well. Welcome back to my channel. If you are returning, shout out to my day oneers. If you are new here, hi, my name is JasmineAten, Mystic at the Crossroads, and I am your favorite witch's favorite witch here on YouTube. And this channel is dedicated to teaching you how to create a life that you truly love and desire through the use of candle magic, witchcraft, and the law of attraction. So, in today's video, we are going to get into the tea about spiritual bath, spiritual cleanses, and the things that spiritual practitioners don't usually share or talk about. Yes. Okay, so if you've been following me for a while, if you've ever had a reading or a consultation or even spiritual work done with me or had me coach you through it, then you already know I am a huge advocate for doing spiritual bath and spiritual cleansings. It's kind of my foundation that I recommend to anyone before you even attempt to touch magic, before you even to attempt to create any changes in your life, whether those changes are trying to attract more money or love and abundance, or clear away negative energy or bad luck or turn your situation around. Why is that? Because spiritual baths and making sure that your energy is clean and vibrationally aligned with whatever the changes you're trying to create is so important. It is just as important as constructing your candle rituals the right way. It is just as important as having a clear intention or a clear petition when you are doing spiritual work to create a change. It is just as important, if not even more important, because I always reference a spiritual bath. Having your energy in alignment is like trying to put fresh, beautiful, organic food that you just got from farmer's market into a old, dusty refrigerator that's full of stuff that's been sitting there and molding for days, right? I know that seems like a very wild analogy, but it's literally true. You cannot attract good things to you. You cannot bring in positive vibrational life changes when your foundation is not cleansed, is not clean. You see what I'm saying? You can't get rid of bad luck. It's like getting rid of old food. You have to throw it out. You have to make room in your life for the changes that you want. You see what I'm saying? You would not put a fresh coat of paint over a dirty car, would you? No, you wouldn't. The car would have to be cleansed, cleaned, go through the car wash, be dust free before it would be able to undergo a paint job. There's no different when it comes to your spirit or your energy. So kind of just think of it like that in terms as to why spiritual cleansing are extremely important. But with that being said, here is some things that I really want you guys to be aware of and just really understand when you are out in these botanicas or spiritual shops or shopping online and you are maybe pulling up videos on YouTube or just Google searching for spiritual recipes for cleanses and washes, kind of having a real understanding of what they can do, what they can't do, how you should be using them, and why sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, okay? So first and foremost, with a spiritual cleansing, we're gonna say spiritual wash. Cleansing is such an umbrella term, but spiritual washes can be used to cleanse. They can also be used to attract. So if I use the word cleanse, I'm just kind of used to saying that, but what I'm meaning is a spiritual wash for whatever it is that you're trying to work on, okay? When it comes to them, there are 5,000,005 ways to do it. You can Google search and you'll pull up a plethora of recipes. You can search here on YouTube and you will find just no limit to the abundance of different ways to do it. Part of the reason for that is, I hate to say this, but it's true. It's kind of trendy now, right? We all know that people are on a spiritual journey and practicing magic is no longer taboo like it used to be. So it's almost gotten to become very trendy. As a result of that, being something that everyone is now doing because it does work, you have people giving you recipes and saying that they're used for significant things. However, one size does not fit all, if that makes sense, okay? What I mean by that is, number one, we don't do self-diagnosis around here, okay? We do accountability around here. we do really figuring out what the root cause and identifying the root cause of what the issue is to address the issue. Now, if you just want to do just a routine, I just want to do a cleansing. I want to make sure that my energy is good. I want to make sure that I have prosperity around me and peace and calmness, and there's no real situation going on. This is just sort of general housekeeping. Then that's totally fine. I kind of equate that to doing maybe your daily chores, right? Your 5-minute pickup around the house, not your deep cleaning, but you're just regular stuff that you do on a regular basis to maintain your energy, right? The things you do at home just to maintain the tidiness. So it's kind of like being spiritually tidy. That's totally fine. And in cases like that, you're pretty safe to kind of figure out what ingredients you need based on, you know, if it's just cleansing and you're like, okay, well, I just want a general cleanse. I'm gonna just do like some sea salt or some Epsom salt and some essential oils, fine. If it's wanting to channel more prosperity, more money, again, not that you have a problem, but you're like, I just want to keep positive energy of prosperity flowing around me, then you can use whatever ingredients that you Google search or follow on a YouTube video and find, totally fine. I have several videos here on my channel for spiritual wash recipes. One is very specific for removing negative energy, but I also am going to give you guys a new one simply because that video is several years old and I have used some different items and I've learned some things along the way. And of course, whenever I figure out new rituals and recipes that work great for me, friends, family, or clients, I always come here and share it with you. Now, what if you have a serious issue going on? What if you have a problem going on that you really do need to address? Can a spiritual wash fix it? Is that even appropriate? Is that something you should be doing? So to kind of answer that question, yes and no. Now, for starters, in some cases, a simple spiritual wash, a deep cleansing, whether it's to cleanse and remove or if it's to attract something, might just be all you need. But that's going to be contingent on the situation and the circumstances. And this is where I say we don't do self-diagnosis around here, because you may think that I'm having this problem, right? This is this set of symptoms that's going on, and I'm going to just do this wash because this recipe or this practitioner, this person online says if I blend this stuff together, it fixes this. And it very well may fix those symptoms, but does it address whatever the root cause is? Does it address what got you in the position where you're experiencing this problem in the first place? So that's one thing that we really have to look at and really pay attention to, because to me, when you are practicing magic, you know, there is something called prophylactic magic, so it's preventative, right? There is magic that you use to really fix a situation, and there's magic that can kind of seemingly almost be a band-aid. So we can put a little band-aid on this and kind of hold it together and allow it some time, but eventually we're gonna have to get to the root of things. So when you are picking out a spiritual cleanse to address symptoms of things, that's great, but that's almost like putting a band-aid on it. What is the root of what is causing the symptoms? And once you figure that out, not only can you custom tailor a spiritual wash, cleansing, or what have you to that issue, but you may find that there's other things that need to be done. In some cases, a spiritual wash is all that needs to be done. You use it, it works very well, it resets energy, it changes whatever it is that you're trying to change. In other cases, there are other things that need to be done as well. A wash needs to be accompanied by maybe some ritual work. Is there some candles that need to be burned? Is there some sort of ritualistic aspect that needs to go along with just the wash itself? Are there any particular spirits that need to be petitioned for, whether you're doing it or you're having someone do it on your behalf? Is there other things that need to be done? Because if you think about it, in spiritual work, sometimes it's like a combination, right? It's like cooking a dinner. And I use food and medical as analogies because that's things that we can all relate to. If you are preparing a Thanksgiving meal, well, you've got the turkey or whatever, right? Whatever it is that you like, and you've got all the sides. So you've got the cornbread and the greens and all of whatever the sides are that make a complete meal. It's the same thing in spiritual work. If you have a situation that you are trying to essentially fix, change, kind of attract or cleanse off and remove, you may need to do a combination of things. You wouldn't serve a Thanksgiving dinner and just put a turkey on the table and say, here you go. enjoy, right? No, that's not going to be a complete meal. It's going to be like, well, wait a minute, there's something missing here. So you may have to do a wash with a candle, or you may have to do a wash for several amount of days, or whatever type of other workings that need to be incorporated. And that's where divination comes in. That's where getting a reading or some sort of guidance through a spiritual practitioner can be very helpful if you yourself don't really know what the cause is, or don't really know what all can and should be done in order to fix the situation, okay? Now, contrary to popular belief, some things that spiritual washes just simply cannot, will not, do not work for. An example of that is generational curses. You hear that name, term thrown around a lot these days. And some practitioners or belief systems, or even some religions and churches, will always kind of refer to situations that people are experiencing as this being a generational curse. Now, there are some cases where that is very true, and that very well may be so, but that's not always the case. Just because you're experiencing something that your auntie, cousin, sister, mama, grandmama experienced, and now you're like, well, it happened to them, it's happening to me, this must be a generational curse. Or everybody in my family has suffered from poverty, or has suffered from this particular type of disease, or whatever it is, right? And now I'm experiencing it, it must be a generational curse. Well, that's not necessarily true. In a lot of cases, for some people, a lot of what they're experiencing is a result of their own decision-making. It is a result of sequence of events, and it is a result of a unstable foundational upbringing. So it's not that this individual is dealing with a generational curse. It's that you weren't taught anything different than what you were taught. So you end up repeating the same things that you were demonstrated as part of your upbringing, because those that came before you did not know how to maybe change, alter patterns or ways of thinking or belief systems, and they made choices and decisions that then others that were under them and sort of looking up to them as guides and influences sort of followed in those steps, not because this was anything that was forced on them, just because they didn't know any better, or even if they did know any better, they made particular choices that in turn created these experiences or outcomes that was not a result of a generational curse. Does not mean that you were hexed. Doesn't mean that, you know, someone in the bloodline 2-3 generations back had this work put on them, but it was a result of decisions that were made based off of either influences, okay, or just, again, we do accountability around here, simply not knowing or not choosing to go a different route, because like they say, a lot of times people unfortunately can sometimes, I say sometimes, can be a product of their environment. So that's something very important also that has to be determined when you are specifically talking about there's a generational curse. This is why I don't have any money. Well, no, it's not a curse. You don't have any money because you have chosen not to go look for a job. Again, that's not the case for everybody. And that's a whole huge topic that I could get into in a separate video if that's something you guys want. But you see what I'm saying? Some things that people are experiencing are simply a result of choices that they are making, or choices that they are choosing not to make. And as a result of it, they're experiencing something that looks very familiar to their other relatives or those that came before them. So if you have a bloodline of people who chose to not work and do other things to make money and it didn't work out for them, ooh, what do you know? Okay, we're losing an earring, but it's all good. And then you saw that and you chose to do the same thing and it still didn't work out for you, well then it's not a curse. That was just a choice that you made, that they made, and clearly it wasn't the best one. But we're not here to debate that in this video. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an example of really being understanding and having a way to kind of decipher and determine whether or not the spiritual wash that you're choosing to use is going to be appropriate for what it is that you're trying to do, okay? Another thing is when it comes to hexes and curses. This is a big one. Now, negative energy is negative energy. Sometimes we are affected by it, by the environments that we're in. If we are in toxic environments, so if you're in a very toxic workplace, if you're in a toxic living situation, if you're surrounded by people who are constantly negative, if you are in a toxic abusive relationship, or maybe the relationship with yourself just isn't good. If you are someone who really has a hard time or struggles with seeing the positive in things, or you feel like you're always being affected by things that are causing you more stress, more harm. If you are somebody who struggles with just being able to speak positively and seeing the good in yourself, but you don't, all you do is see the things that worry you. You see the things that you haven't gotten right. You see the things that you weren't able to accomplish. If you're someone who's constantly very hard on yourself and criticizing yourself, or you are somebody who is in a situation that you know is a negative place, whether that's a living environment or just surrounding yourself with individuals, especially if it's, sometimes we can't control our situations. Sometimes we're in situations that we know we need to get out of, but we just can't right now for whatever reason, right? Sometimes people choose to stay and deal with certain things for, again, whatever reason. But if you are someone, especially if you are constantly dwelling on what's not working and everything out of your mouth is very negative, you're speaking negativity over yourself, well, then that negative energy is going to play a part and it's going to affect you, and it will start to manifest in physical things in your life, whether that's physical pain, whether that's physical circumstances and situations playing out, but it will become very real. Why? Because thoughts are things, right? Thoughts and emotions create an energy, and an energy vibrates out, and that energy, when it's sent out, what does it do? It shows back up to us in the physical form. Like we know, everything is energy. Everything vibrates. We learned that in The Secret, and that's not no hoodoo, voodoo, pseudoscience or anything like that. That's been scientifically proven. Even down to like the law of physics, every action has a reaction. That is not something that people made up. That is the truth, right? So everything's living. These plants are alive. These flowers are alive. I'm vibrating. You're vibrating. The water on my altar is alive. The food that you eat is alive. Things that come out of your mouth and your thoughts are vibrating at a specific frequency. And that frequency in its energetic form, if you study alchemy or work with dark energy, not black magic, I'm not talking about baneful magic, I'm talking about dark energy or alchemy, or even study the Hermetic principles, and you understand that things that come out in an energetic form in alchemy can then be transmuted into something physical and show up in your current three-dimensional existence. So as a result of that, spiritual cleanses can help move away and clear up negative energy that is creating negative situations around you. But the thing is, the only way that that's going to work is that if you don't go back and reinfect yourself, okay? So what do I mean by that? You take your car to the car wash and you get the car cleansed, and then you go drive through the sand dunes, or you go off-roading into some mud, and you want to know, why is the car dirty again? Well, you just took a spiritual bath, you just cleansed your car, and then you drove your ass through a sandstorm. What did you think was going to happen? And what happens is people do spiritual cleanses and spiritual washes. They want to remove negative energy. They want to change their circumstances, yet they don't change the root cause, or they don't change the environment that they're in, essentially reinfecting themselves with the problem, okay? Now, again, for some people, they may be like, I'm in a situation that I don't have the resources to change right now, so I'm at least trying to manage my energy, or I'm trying to use this as a way to make a change, and that's perfectly fine. That's the case where there may be some other things that need to come in and reinforce doing your cleansings. A cleansing alone is not going to be enough. I mean, it's just not. You know, it just isn't, and that's just the reality. So you will have to incorporate finding another or an additional means outside of just the cleansing to really put a strong, powerful force of energy behind getting you out of whatever the situation is that is causing this bad energy. Now, when it comes to hexes and curses, Hexes and curses are very real, but a question that I get a lot from people is when things are not going right, they're constantly asking me, am I hexed? Am I cursed? Did somebody do it to me? I think this person cursed me. I think this person did this. And let me tell you something. First of all, to hex and curse somebody, that takes a lot of energy. It takes a significant amount of time. It takes supplies. It takes planning. Most people don't just get up and just work it one day and say, you know what, I'm going to curse this person today. I'm going to throw a hex on them. And if they do, that's because they genuinely pretty much think that they have a very valid reason to. Anyone who really does understand magic and how energy works, or is a practitioner, is not going, well, let me say it like this. They're going to be a little cautious when they are considering putting a hex on someone. They are going to skillfully take time to construct and plan how they're going to do it. They're going to really figure out if what they're doing is justifiable, because they are going to have to do some work to protect themselves. They're going to not want to get hit back with their own curse. So there's a lot that goes into someone actually cursing another person. It's not as simple as just buying a candle and some oil and some herbs and speaking an intention, and boom, you just threw it out at somebody and you just wrecked their whole life. Not to say that that can't happen, because it can, but that's just not typically how it goes. And oftentimes when people are employing the help of a practitioner when it comes to hexes and curses, well, first of all, that's not cheap. Spiritual work in itself is not cheap. It's pricey because it's time consuming. You're paying an expert for their time, their energy, their years of knowledge, maybe their supplies and products that one doesn't have access to, the connection, the spiritual connection that they have, the spiritual resources that they have. There's a lot that goes into it, and that energy, there's an energetic exchange that has to happen there. So typically it's not very cheap. So again, for someone to invest time, energy, and or money to hex someone or to curse somebody, there's a lot to go into that. And that's not usually something somebody just throws money at unless they really feel that that hex or curse is justifiable. I say that to say, for most people that believe that they've been hexed or cursed and say, I don't know why somebody would do this to me. Well, if you don't know why, if you're completely innocent, right? You didn't do anything to deserve it. Someone just don't like you and they just woke up and decide to hex you. Not saying that that doesn't happen, because it does. But if you're sitting here saying you believe you've been hexed and cursed and you have absolutely no idea why, either you're not taking accountability, or you're just, you're not being honest, or whatever the case may be. And that's where divination comes in. That's where a skilled practitioner uses their discernment, both from their professional experience and relying on their intuitive guide to, one, know whether or not this person is telling the truth, and two, if whether or not they have indeed been hexed or cursed, and three, if this is a case that they want to take. So I say that to say, oftentimes a lot of people that believe that they have been hexed or cursed really haven't. They haven't. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have negative energy around them, and it doesn't mean that someone hasn't wished harm on them, but as far as them being the target of a direct hex and curse, it doesn't happen as often as most people think it is, and oftentimes it's the result of their own negative, self-criticizing, negative thinking that they are infecting themselves with. And that's kind of, I'm trying to put it in a very clear and layman way of saying it. I know that that's not something a lot of people want to hear, and it's probably really hard to accept that. You mean to tell me that the shit luck I've been experiencing is sort of self-inflicted? Well, yeah, sometimes it is. And again, if you're not sure and you're having a hard time really trying to figure that out, then that would be where you would consult with a professional practitioner, somebody that does divination of some sort, to really get clarity. And again, that can be kind of a tough pill to swallow. So, if you're not ready for the answer, then maybe that's not a question you want to ask. But if you really do want to get to the root of your situation and you want to treat it the right way, because ritual, spell work, and spiritual cleanses are essentially treatments that you are prescribed, then you want to make sure that you are being very open with the practitioner, and getting the getting the situation to be looked at from a different set of eyes, because again, sometimes when we self-diagnose or when we're in the situation, our ego can make it to be something that it is or it isn't. So talking to somebody outside of yourself could be very helpful. Okay, so that's what spiritual washes, cleanses can't really do. They cannot fix generational curses. They can help with curses and negative energy if that's indeed what it is. Now, what they are great for, that I love, and why I recommend them so much, is they're good for road opening. They are good for clearing up stagnant energy around your finances and blockages, prosperity. So if you've been putting in the work, right? Like if you've been looking for a job and maybe you've had some interviews and nobody's called back, or you've been looking for a job and you're qualified, you've been putting your resume in, but again, nobody's calling you for an interview, then there may be some stagnant energy around you. So a spiritual wash or a cleanse could work for clearing up any financial blockages. It could work for opening up new opportunities. It can work to help attract love to you. It can help with part of a healing process or a healing journey. Again, I don't think spiritual washes are the end all be all when it comes to healing and self-care, but they are a great component of it. That's another video I've been thinking about doing. If you guys want me to do a video on really some spiritual healing, some self-care, and when you're healing from things, we'll get into that. But if you want me to do a video on healing, let me know. So those are great examples of what a spiritual cleanse can do. They are good for just keeping you grounded, keeping you in a space where you're able to mentally and emotionally handle things that life throw at you, and keeping your energy just very positive and open to receiving more good luck, more abundance. They're good for helping you maintain what you already have. If you have a job that you like and you want to keep it, doing a spiritual cleanse to make sure that your energy is still vibrating at prosperity and making money and protection, extremely important, protection around you energetically, then that would be a very appropriate way of using a spiritual bath or a spiritual cleanse. So I hope that this has been helpful. This is kind of a micro video. As you can see, I could talk about this topic all day long, but I wanted to get on here and give you guys some clarity and some understanding when you're doing your research about these spiritual cleanses, how you can use them so that they can be most effective. This is also going to be part one of 2 parts where I am going to be showing you a recipe, because what would my channel be without a recipe on how to do a spiritual wash for road opening. I am going to link that video both down in the description box below and probably somewhere up here or at the end of this video, so you can go ahead and watch that video after you watch this one. If you want to skip ahead and go to that one, you can, but I really suggest you watching this one first. I probably should have said that in the beginning of the video, but whatever. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. Let me know, did any of this resonate with you? Leave your questions down in the comment box below. I am doing my best to try to go through comments and questions a couple times a week and get back to you guys. If you would like to book a private session where you can talk to me over the phone and get some clarity, a reading, do you want to talk about a situation you're going through and figure out, is a spiritual cleanse appropriate for you, or even just talk about what you're already practicing to make sure that you're in alignment, you can do so. All of my contact information will be down in the description box below, including my website. Appointments are only booked through my website, and my social media handles. Make sure that you are following me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, as I post a whole lot of content over there regularly. It's a lot easier for me to post on there than it is to sit down and do sort of a long form video like this one. We are currently at 28 minutes. Also, please be sure to like this video if you found some value. Subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that I'm doing a good job, and they will continue to circulate my videos for the conscious community to find the help that they need, okay? Once again, thank you so much. I'm Mystic at the Crossroads. I love you. I'm wishing you nothing but success and prosperity, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.